Alright, so the components for this pasta dish is quite similar to the other one. We have some mushrooms, these are shimoji and king trumpets, garlic, shallot, some thyme, and some cherry tomatoes. So these king trumpets, we're just going to dice them down. These mushrooms actually, you can cook them for a long time and they're gonna keep its integrity. And I'm just gonna finely dice the shallots. Same thing with the garlic. And the tomatoes, we're just gonna cut them in half. The larger ones you can quarter. Okay, here we have 2 strips of bacon. Just cut them into lardons. Alright, so there's our first set of mise en place ready to go. Okay, now this is uni. It's basically sea urchin roe. You can get these at Korean or Japanese markets, but completely optional. It just adds, a pretty luxurious finish to your dish, but you can leave it out. And the shrimp we're just going to head and shell, and now we're just going to cook off the diced shrimp meat first. Hit it with a little bit of salt. In the other pan, we're going to start our mushroom ragu. And you don't have to use 2 pans and cook them at the same time. This just cuts down on the cooking time. But you can definitely cook the shrimp, do your shellfish cream first, set that aside, and then go ahead and do your mushrooms. So the bacon rendered out. Now we're adding our 2 types of mushrooms to the pan. And throughout this process, we're just going to hit it with a little water to get the steam going. So now we take the cooked shrimp out, leaving the oil behind in the pan. Alright, so there's our shrimp shells, the heads and the shells going in. And we are going to roast these to very deep and dark color. Alright, so now our aromatics go in, shallots, garlic. Okay, we're gonna start seasoning at this stage. Okay, so the pan looked a little starved for oil, so just a little bit of olive oil. Okay, now the mushrooms are 80% cooked down, so we add the tomatoes. And just like the other recipe, we just want the tomatoes to wilt and pop a little bit. We don't want them completely to fall apart. You saw my shrimp pan got a little dry, so add a little bit of water. So now we're just adding 2 dollops of tomato paste to the shrimp pan. and we're gonna once again get very good color on the shells. So we're about halfway there. You want to take your shells to the edge of burning. That's how you're going to extract the maximum amount of flavor. Just a little more water in the mushroom pan. Alright, so now we're going to deglaze the shrimp pan with a shot or two of brandy. And we're going to cook off the alcohol completely. And you see how well roasted these shells are. Once you get the shells to that stage and once all the alcohol is burned off, you can add your heavy cream. Alright, so the mushrooms are pretty much done. We're going to hold them at that stage for now. Add the cream. And the cream, you want it to come to a simmer, but you don't want a rapid boil. You want to keep the reduction down to a minimum. It's going to thicken, it's going to reduce, but it doesn't have to reduce much. Alright, so there's the mushroom and the tomatoes cooked down. The cream, you want it to steep for maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Alright, so there we're tasting and seasoning. This is a very important step for any dish. Alright, so now we're gonna strain the cream out of the shrimp pan. And in terms of technique, this is one way to end up with a shrimp or shellfish flavored sauce. The other is to use some kind of liquid like stock to extract the flavors and then to reduce that liquid down. I find a lot of times steeping the shells in cream yields a cleaner flavor, and also it's much easier to do. It doesn't take quite as much time and technique. So now we marry the shrimp cream to the mushroom tomato ragu, and that's basically your sauce finished. So once again, we're going to check for seasoning now that the two main components are married together. More salt. Okay, and now we're just gonna hold the sauce in reserve. You can do this a couple hours in advance and then drop the pasta as you need, but if you're gonna do this the night before, which is fine, I will keep the cream and the ragu separate. Alright, so now that that's done, we're gonna season the pasta water. And these are the pasta we're using. I call them fancy shells. I don't know what they're called, but they work well and they look pretty nice. A little bit of oil, pasta water. Okay, so while the pasta is cooking, we're gonna deal with the garnish. This is a chiffonade of basil, and we're just stacking the leaves, rolling them up, and slicing through. And make sure your knife is sharp for any kind of fresh herbs. Otherwise, the edges are going to oxidize. You see beside the basil is a little container of uni. Okay, so now the pasta is almost done cooking. We're going to ladle some of our mushroom shrimp cream sauce in a pan, and then the pasta goes directly in it. And once again, this is pretty basic finishing technique for all pasta dishes. You want to finish it in the sauce. So the last 10, 20, 30% of the cooking is done in the sauce, which absorbs into the pasta, and you get an actual pasta dish rather than some pasta with sauce mixed over on top. So we put the uni pieces in, and half the chiffonade basil, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and this is pretty much all off the heat. We also reserve a few lobes of the sea urchin roe for garnish later on. I like to transfer to a warm metal plate so I can use a metal spoon without scratching up my nonstick pan. So plating, once again, you want to hit the middle and you'll build a nice height on your dish quite naturally. You're just going to tidy up a little bit, make sure it's centered. You don't want anything on the rim of the plate. You're just going to wipe the plate clean, a little damp paper towel. A few pieces of the uni lobes on top. And we finish with the rest of the chiffonade basil and also a few drips of extra virgin olive oil. And that's basically it. Pasta with a creamy mushroom shrimp ragu. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe and like.